Welcome back. Brendan joined here with Kevin. Talk a little bit about what's next for not only Prizeout, but our building on Snowflake. We've talked a little bit about the migration, our choice for using Snowflake, how we think of data as a force multiplier within an organization. I think one thing that's important to talk a little bit about is just at Prizeout why some of the things that Snowflake provides for us are very important. So the way that our business scales is not only this consistent growth that happens through retaining customers on our partner platforms and just capturing a larger percentage of those eyeballs, but also adding new partners. So for context right now, I think we're integrating with 5x the amount of partner volume that we've had to date. So that's in the 3.5-4 years from the first line of code to today. We're in that $5-10 billion range of withdrawal volume, and we have about 5x integrating. So for us as a great data organization, we have to be ready for that type of scale. We have to be ready for that type of step function growth that happens all at once with no testing, right? We don't get to scale up. It brings me back a little bit, Kevin, to the DraftKings days of like all week you'd have some spikes and then Sunday NFL would just be out of control. But so I think that, that's one thing that we focus a lot on. So I guess, Kevin, since you're closer to it, why don't you touch a little bit on how does Snowflake help, not just from a spiky, like spike to spike, all of a sudden our partner sends out a marketing push or something else, but also how it enables us to be confident as we have these partners integrate that can kind of jump on at any time.
Yeah, no, I think, what's next and what are we planning for? It's almost like, what are we not planning for? And, how are our choices going to play out as we run into those obstacles? It's a good problem to have. But knowing that we have a platform that, again, storage is not an issue. Compute is not an issue. There's the time to provision a new cluster, to take advantage of multi-clustering, to deal with spiky workloads, to size up during hours where, we know that there's going to be an influx of data, an influx of transactions, allows us to really ride that out smoothly, and to continue to deliver value to the business, as we go. I think that, what's next from a technology perspective, we've been lean with what we've needed to bring in. Again, keeping this idea that Snowflake provides so much, let's take advantage of the feature set that we have and bring in technologies as needed. I think, we've talked a little bit about Airflow with the analysts to think through orchestration. We've talked about potentially, moving our Kafka migration to something a little bit more managed potentially in the future. Really building out some of these data collection services with the third parties that we do business with into a way that makes it easier and faster to onboard new data sources, at whenever we need.
Yeah, and I think that one thing we talk a little bit about, or at least I do with the business, is we want people to look at engineering and data and say, should we, not can we? And I think that's also what, allows us to move fast. It gives the business confidence when they're out there selling, right? When we get the thing we've been trying to get, that data source, the new partner, it's general excitement, not dread. And I think that, that type of scalability and our ability to be nimble, empowers our other leaders to be at their best as well. I know, Kevin, one thing that we went through that I think others do, and we've seen the contract negotiations across a handful of different B2B providers, but I was wondering if you could touch a little bit on our experience with, setting up our longer term commitment, why you were so, gung-ho on it and thinking that it was the best move for us, and how, pre-committing felt like the right move and you thought gave us a lot of flexibility for the future.
Yeah, I think, we'd been in it for about 8 months into our contract, which we were running, fairly under. I think, again, balancing SLAs and cost, and I think we had found that sweet spot. But seeing just how much we were able to do with that budget, and then looking at what was coming down the roadmap. You mentioned the volume, right? And everything that we're dealing with today that you can't prepare for is to say, I don't want to have to think about this. I don't want to have to worry about blowing through our contract and then getting into a month-to-month or a renegotiation at a point when we should be focusing on growing the business, right? Executing as an engineering team. And again, in talking with our account executive, understanding the flexibility with contract renewal, mid-contract potentially, depending on how you're going, having that quarterly business review to know, how are we pacing, where do we stand when it's going to come for next year, the year after, and really just seeing what the roadmap for Snowflake is. I remember, I think at a conference in New York when we were, they had previewed the memory optimized instances for Snowpark, thinking through what we're going to need to do as a data science team and to be able to support some of the algorithms and recommendation engines that are going to drive the business forward. Investing in a platform over the next 2 years made a lot of sense.
Yeah, even I think at that same conference, we saw some of the data governance pieces, which based on our data security, data compliance, and as it's something we've had to take really seriously since the beginning. Partnering with these enterprise companies as a startup, they don't care. And so I know even just finding those little wins go a long way to keeping us focused on what we need to build next. We have this amazing technology that should only get better. We have some amazing engineers, data scientists that are all working on pretty cool problems. And like you can probably speak to, Kevin, we get to work with some pretty fun technologies. I know we have consumer recommendation algorithms, merchant ROIs, LTVs, right? How do we kind of merge those together and play matchmaker between our brands and our consumers, and running that on the back of Snowflake, on the back of obviously GCP and obviously all the other technologies that we choose to use. So, for us, what's next? I think it's going to be continue a build process. We're excited about what's to come. And to be honest, we're excited about continuing to do it with Snowflake. So, that is the how's it going. I think that's the end of this video series. Hopefully you took something. Feel free to reach out to Kevin or I if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.